Welcome back. We're doing something a little different today.
Yeah.
Usually we look at a specific subject, history, tech, science, whatever's making headlines. But
Yeah.
today, we're looking at a specific human experience.
Hmm.
It's that paralyzed feeling you get when you know about a language, but you're just terrified to actually use it.
Oh,
You,
yeah.
you know the rules, you've read the books,
Hmm.
but the moment you have to speak, just silence.
It's the classic gap, the massive canyon between the textbook and the real world.
Yes.
You can know exactly how an internal combustion engine works, but that doesn't mean you know how to drive a stick shift in heavy traffic.
Exactly. And for English learners, that traffic is terrifying. I have a question for you. Have you ever had that experience where you're learning something new, let's say a new language, maybe French or even something like coding, and inside your own head, you are an absolute genius?
Oh, absolutely. The shower singer effect. In the shower, I'm Pavarotti.
Exactly. In your head, your grammar is perfect, your vocabulary is amazing, you're charming, you're witty, you're completely ready. But then the moment you have to actually open your mouth and, speak to another human being,
Total system failure. You just freeze up.
you freeze. It feels like your brain just physically disconnects from your mouth. And honestly, I think that specific anxiety is one of the most universal human experiences, that huge gap between what we know and what we can actually do under pressure. And that is exactly what we're digging into today.
It is, and we have a really fascinating piece of source material to help us unpack this. It's a document that, at first glance, looks incredibly simple. It's just a file titled note.docs.
Which is usually the file name for, what, a grocery list? Or a draft email you forgot to send?
Right. But inside this file is a full script for a podcast or maybe an audio lesson called Speak English Confidently Using Daily Conversations. It's for beginners, it's short, and it describes its own style as calm, friendly, encouraging.
And I want to be really clear to everyone listening right now. If you already speak English, don't tune out. Because what we found when we really analyzed this script is that it's not just an English lesson. It's actually a masterclass in psychology.
That's the perfect way to put it. We aren't here to teach you vocabulary. We're here to unpack the specific structural method this source uses to move a person from a state of paralyzing fear to a state of action. It's all about engineering a mindset shift.
And it gets right to the root of the problem.
Mhm.
I mean, the source identifies the core conflict immediately. It's not about a lack of words. It specifically targets learners who understand English but are shy or afraid to speak.
Mhm. It calls out the specific monsters under the bed, the fear of making mistakes and the fear of being judged for your accent.
So let's get into the machinery of this. How does a simple script in a Word doc tackle that kind of, deep psychological block?
Well, it starts with what I'd call the deconstruction of perfection. The script opens by directly addressing that internal monologue we just talked about. It basically asks the listener, are you thinking, what if I make a mistake? Or what if my accent isn't good?
Which is so validating. Usually educational material is just, here's the verb, learn the verb. This source actually stops and says, hey, I know you're scared, I see you.
Precisely. It validates the fear, but then it immediately reframes the objective. The source states, and this is a really key line, mistakes are part of learning.
It sounds a little cliche though, doesn't it? Mistakes are okay. I mean, we hear that all the time.
We do, but the source takes it a step further by actually shifting the goalpost. The analysis here is that the source is arguing you do not need perfect English. It says explicitly what you need is practice.
I think that distinction is huge. It completely redefines success. If your goal is perfect English, that every time you stumble, you're failing, you're getting this negative feedback from your own brain.
Right. You're basically punishing yourself for trying.
But if the goal is just practice, then the stumbling is the success. Because you're doing the thing. You're succeeding just by being messy.
Exactly. It liberates the learner. And this leads right into another philosophical pillar in the text, which comes up in a section called the short motivation break. The line is, simple English is good English.
Simple English is good English.
Yeah.
I stopped on that line too. Why is that framing so critical?
Well, think about the kind of person this script is for. They probably think that to be good at a language, they need to sound like a poet or a professor.
Right, they want to sound smart. We all want to sound smart.
Yeah. Of course. But by saying simple is good, the source is giving the learner permission to just be basic. It lowers that barrier to entry. It takes away the pressure to be impressive so that they can just be functional. It's basically saying communication is about connection, not performance.
That's a really healthy takeaway for any skill, honestly. We overcomplicate things to prove we're good at them, when really the simple version is usually what works.
100%. If you can order the coffee, you've succeeded. You don't need to know the entire history of the bean.
So we've got the philosophy. The
Yeah.
stakes are good, simple is good. Now I want to look at the mechanics, because this document is full of very specific instructional design notes. It's not just a speech, it's a set of instructions.
Oh, it's very directive. Throughout the script, you see the instruction, please repeat after me. And then there's this technical note in parentheses. Leave a short pause after each sentence.
Let's talk about that pause. It seems like such a small detail, just formatting.
Yeah.
Why is that space even there?
That space is what I call the action gap. If you just listen to a podcast, you're being passive. Information is washing over you. You can nod along and feel smart. But by forcing a pause, the source creates a vacuum that the learner has to fill.
It's a little uncomfortable.
It is. It forces that transition from passive listener to active participant. You have to jump into the void.
You're building in this space for action.
Exactly. And notice how it manages the learner's physical state before that action happens. Right at the start, the script says, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin.
It's acknowledging the somatic side of anxiety. It's really hard to speak a new language when your jaw is clenched and your shoulders are up by your ears.
It's impossible. Stress literally shuts down the language centers of the brain. So the source is physically priming the user to learn. It's saying, fix your body so your mind can work.
Okay, so we're relaxed, we're ready, we've got our pause. Let's look at the actual content. Conversation 1 is introducing yourself.
The classics.
Yeah, the phrases are super standard. Hi, my name is Ikra. Nice to meet you. How are you today? And I'm doing well, thank you.
On the surface, yes, very standard. But look at the feedback loop. Immediately after the learner is supposed to say these lines into that silence, the script says, great job, and then let's repeat one more time.
It's instant validation. It's like training a puppy. You do the thing, you get the treat.
It reinforces the behavior immediately. It's gamification in its simplest form. You get that little dopamine hit of, I did it and I was praised. It makes you want to do it again.
Now, where I think this gets really interesting, and honestly, where I think the source is being incredibly strategic, is in conversation 2.
I know exactly which part you're talking about.
The phrase the source teaches is, I'm learning English.
It seems like such a simple statement, doesn't it? Just a fact.
But functionally, it's doing something else. It's like a shield.
It is a strategic shield. By teaching the learner to say, I'm learning English up front, the source is giving them a tool to manage expectations.
It signals to the other person, hey, be patient with me. I might make mistakes. Don't judge me too harshly.
Exactly. It relieves the pressure of having to perform fluency. If I tell you, I'm learning to cook, and I burn the toast, you're forgiving. If I tell you I'm a master chef and I burn the toast, you're just annoyed.
It's like putting a student driver's sign on your car.
That is the perfect analogy. When you see that sticker, you give the car a little more space. You don't honk if they stall. You have empathy. This script is teaching learners how to put that sticker on their forehead so they can navigate social traffic safely.
And then there's a follow-up sentence in that section. English is important for my future.
Yes, that's the anchor.
That felt like a bit of a pivot. We go from I'm learning to this big statement about the future. Why include that?
It's about anchoring your motivation. The I'm learning part manages the social situation. The important for my future part manages your internal drive. It connects the sometimes tedious practice of repeating phrases to a long-term goal. It reminds the learner why they're doing this.
It stops it from being a chore and turns it into an investment.
Exactly. It's forward-looking motivation woven right into the practice. It's brilliant.
So we have the mindset, we have the intro, we have the student driver sign. Let's talk consistency. Because the hardest part isn't starting, it's keeping going.
The source has a clear rule for this. In that short motivation break, it says, speaking a little every day is better than studying once a week.
Frequency over duration.
Yes. And for the learner, this source is targeting someone who's likely busy, maybe overwhelmed. This is critical. It's advocating for micro habits. It's not asking for a 2-hour lecture.
It's asking for 5 minutes.
Exactly. And if you look at the closing section, it suggests listening while walking, driving, or relaxing.
Which is huge. It's saying, don't find new time in your schedule. Just layer this on top of what you're already doing.
It's all about integration. That's the only way to build a sustainable habit. If you have to find a perfect time to study, you never will. But if you study while you do the dishes, you'll study every day.
I think that's where so many of us fail. We try to be the hero who wakes up at 4 a.m. to study for 3 hours, and we do it for 3 days and then just quit.
And this source says, don't be the hero, just be the person who listens while walking the dog. That person actually finishes the race.
Okay, I want to move to the social dynamics because this is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
You're not just talking to yourself. Conversation 3 is all about asking simple questions.
Right. The phrases are things like, where are you from, what do you do, and do you speak English every day?
So my question is, why prioritize questions? Why not just teach more answers about yourself?
Because questions shift the power dynamic. The source explicitly says questions help you start conversations. But really, if you're only answering, you're passive. You're on defense, just waiting for the other person to throw a ball at you.
And you have no idea what ball they're going to throw. It could be
Yeah.
slang. It could be a curveball.
Exactly. But if you ask the question, you're the pitcher. You control the topic. You know what the answer is likely to be. It moves the learner from passive answering to active engagement.
You become the driver of the conversation.
It gives the learner agency. And for someone who is anxious, agency is the antidote.
I love that. And then we get to conversation 4, daily life English.
Hmm.
This was one of my favorite parts because of a really subtle nuance.
I have a feeling I know what you picked up on.
The phrases are, how was your day? Today was a good day. That sounds nice.
Mhm.
But then tucked in there is this phrase, I'm a little tired.
Yes, I'm a little tired.
It seems so minor. But I feel like most beginner language tapes are weirdly positive. Everything is, I am fine, the sun is shining.
It's the Instagram filter version of language learning. Everyone is happy and robotic.
But by including I'm a little tired, the source is doing something really different.
It's teaching authenticity. It's teaching the learner how to express an imperfect state. You don't have to be happy to speak English. You can be tired. You can be frustrated. You can be human.
It validates that their actual feelings have a place in this new language.
And it creates connection. If I ask, how are you? And you say, I am fine, the conversation might just end. But if you say, I'm a little tired, now we have something to talk about. Oh, why are you tired? It opens the door to reality.
It stops being a performance and starts being communication.
Which brings us to what I think is the core revelation of this entire document. We've talked about the how, but we need to talk about the when of confidence.
The confidence reminder section.
And it delivers this absolute truth bomb. Confidence comes after practice, not before.
Okay, I want to pause on that. Let's just highlight that in neon lights.
Yeah.
Confidence comes after practice, not before.
Think about how most people approach a new challenge. They wait. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they feel confident enough to apply for the job or ask for the date or speak the language.
We see confidence as the fuel you need to put in the car to make it start.
Exactly. But this source flips it completely. It argues that confidence is the destination, not the fuel. Action has to come first. You have to do the thing while you're scared, while you are unconfident, in order to generate the confidence.
That is actually kind of terrifying.
It is. It's totally counterintuitive.
But it's also liberating because it means you don't have to wait for the fear to go away.
You can't wait. If you wait for the fear to go away, you will never start. The source acknowledges this. It says, if you feel shy, that's okay. It normalizes the lack of confidence as a starting point. It says, you're supposed to be shy right now, do it anyway.
And it pairs that mental shift with some physical instructions. It says, speak slowly, speak clearly, and my favorite one, and be kind to yourself.
That's a pedagogical tool, believe it or not.
Being kind to yourself is a tool. It sounds like something from a greeting card.
It sounds soft, but it's hard science. When you're harsh with yourself, when you beat yourself up for every mistake, your cortisol levels spike. Your brain enters a threat state.
Right, you can't learn when you're fighting a tiger.
Exactly. Your ability to retain new information plummets. Being kind to yourself keeps the brain in a state where it is actually capable of learning.
So self-kindness is actually just strategic efficiency.
It's the most efficient way to learn. If you want to learn fast, be nice to yourself.
That's a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the script wraps up with a final practice. And this feels less like a lesson and more like, I don't know, an affirmation session.
It definitely leans into affirmations. It reviews the core identity statements we've built up. I'm learning English. I practice every day. And then the big one, I can speak English.
And the source ends with, yes, you can. And it actually includes a muscle emoji in the text.
Yeah, a little visual cue. But look at what's happening structurally. The script doesn't end with a test. It doesn't say, okay, quiz time.
Wait, there's no exam, no grade.
It ends with an identity shift. I can speak English. It's trying to cement the belief that the learner is a speaker simply because they practiced today.
It's closing the loop on that mindset shift from the beginning. You are a speaker because you speak, not because you're perfect.
Exactly. Identity follows action. You don't think your way into a new way of acting. You act your way into a new way of thinking.
So let's zoom out. We've gone through this document, note.docs. We've dissected it. What are the big takeaways? If someone listening takes 3 things away, what should they be?
I think there are 3 main pillars. First, mistakes are not just okay. They are necessary. They're data points. They are the friction that creates traction.
Second,
Second, simple is better than perfect. Complexity is the enemy of execution when you're just starting. Don't try to be impressive, just try to be understood.
and the third?
The third, and I think the most powerful, is that rule about confidence. Confidence is a result, not a prerequisite. You have to act before you feel ready.
And that's the part that applies to everyone listening right now, regardless of whether you're learning English or learning to paint or trying to navigate a new job.
Oh, completely. If you just replace the word English in this script with coding or public speaking or even parenting, the rules still hold up.
I'm learning parenting. Mistakes are part of learning. Be kind to yourself. Yeah, it works.
It works because it's about the psychology of growth. The source is technically about language, but really it's about overcoming the paralysis of perfectionism.
It really challenges that idea that we need to be experts before we're allowed to participate.
That's the student driver sign again. It's about claiming the right to be a beginner
Claiming the right to be a beginner. I love that phrase.
and realizing that the only way to stop being a beginner is to just be a beginner loudly and frequently for a while.
The source mentions practicing while walking, driving, or relaxing. That low-stakes integration, it feels almost anti-academic.
It is. It's functional. It's saying that language lives in the mouth and the ear, not just in a textbook. If you look at the final outro, it says, keep practicing, keep going. It treats language as a momentum game.
Momentum, that's a great word for it. It's not a destination you arrive at. It's a movement you just keep up.
And every time you engage, every time you ask, how was your day? Or say, I'm a little tired, you're adding to that momentum.
So what does this all mean for you listening today? We've analyzed this calm, friendly script.
It means that if you're holding back from something because you don't feel ready, you're misunderstanding the entire mechanism of readiness.
Because readiness doesn't arrive while you're waiting.
No. Readiness is forged in the action itself. You basically build the plane while you're flying it.
That is a powerful place to land. I want to leave you all with a thought based on everything we've talked about. The source emphasizes that confidence comes after practice.
Right.
So if you're currently waiting to feel ready before you start that new project or have that difficult conversation or begin a new hobby, what would happen if you just accepted that the feeling of readiness is never going to show up before you start? What if you accepted that the feeling you're waiting for is actually waiting for you at the finish line of your first messy attempt?
That's the question.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Keep practicing, keep going, and be kind to yourself. We'll see you next time.